If you're looking to buy a VW Scirocco, then this video might just be the one for you. Ironically, the Scirocco is on the ramp. It doesn't always live on the ramp, believe me. It does spend some time on there, but this is just mine. I think I must have got one of the bad ones of the bunch. However, you lot should be a bit more lucky. Don't let this put you off the fact it's on the ramp. I've only pulled it on here to record this video. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to be going over exactly how much it costs to run, insure, maintain, even modify a 2016 2-litre TSI DSG Volkswagen Scirocco and try and make it somewhat look pretty cool and somewhat fast as well. Now, obviously, if you are new to the channel, then please hit the like and subscribe. You can also become a member now of this channel for about $1.99 a month. Obviously, you don't have to, but it's just there if you want to, sort of thing. I had a goal to reach 1,500 subscribers by the end of the year. We've already hit that now, so I guess the next goal is like 1,700, 1,800. I'm not sure yet. This channel's growing pretty quickly. But nevertheless, anyway, I've got a actual breakdown of on exactly how much I've kind of spent in my 2 years ownership of this car. I picked up the Scirocco in February 2022, and I've tried my best to remember everything I've done, especially the maintaining side. The first and foremost thing is obviously the price of the car. I'm very fortunate to be able to have this car outright. However, it came with its issues. I did buy it broken, fixed it up, been quite sweet since. However, for this exact model, the 2-litre petrol DSG, 40,000 miles when I did have the car, it set me back about just over the 10 grand mark because it was damaged. However, you can pick these up for even cheaper or even more. Obviously, cost is going to be different for every single car, but this is just how much I paid, so I think it was a pretty good deal personally. One thing you've got to remember as well that I'm in the motor trade, so everything is a lot cheaper to me. Parts wise, I get a trade price, and obviously labour, I do it myself, so labour is pretty much free. The first and foremost thing you need to do to your car every year anyway is service the car. At the place I work, we offer something called a gold service, what essentially is oil change, air filters, waters, check over, special injector and cat flush, all that stuff. It's the top service we do. That to a customer is £200. However, to me, obviously, it's a lot cheaper than that, but I've serviced it 4 times doing the exact same service. So far in 2 years, it would have set me back £800 on servicing. Obviously, if you're not as much of a freak as me and want to make sure this car is serviced all the time, then you don't have to do that, and you don't have to go for the proper top one either. You can go for a mini service, so it's 120 where I work. The point is, all services change the oil and the air filters and the waters, all that stuff, to make sure everything's as it's supposed to be under the bonnet. So in 2 years, £800 on servicing. Next up is wear and tear. Now, this car has had a few tyres in the 2 years. I don't run any proper expensive Michelins or some Continentals or Bridgestone, whatever. I only run Lancers and budgets, but they're all right. I think I pay about £60–70 a tyre, and I reckon I've had about 6 or 7, maybe even 8 tyres in my 2 years of owning this car. For some reason, it just shreds the inside. I've had it tracked, I've had everything checked, all the suspension's sweet. It hasn't done it recently. These tyres are, about 5, 6, 7 months old, but to the first year and a half for me having this car, it just ate tyres for fun. That's where a lot of my money actually went on, was fitting stupid tyres to this stupid car. Everyone watching this video should actually have to do this thing. Tyres is optional, because obviously you can have a tyre 3–4 years. You can have a car 3–4 years and not have to put a single tyre on it. You could be like me and have to put a tyre in each 2 months or something. So just keep that in mind. That is very down to user, but servicing is definitely every single year. You want to at least serve your car minimum as well, judging on the miles you do. Now, under the bonnet is an EA888 engine. I don't know what points it is, don't know what gen it is or whatever, but all I know is the fact it's got an external water pump. Now, underneath the intake, all the way down there, I don't think you can actually see it. If you can see behind the alternator here, you should see the oil cooler as well for the car, somewhere down there. Next to that is actually the external water pump on these cars, and they absolutely am terrible on them. They always go. I've had to put 2 in 2 years of this car. It's a nightmare. I can't stand it. They're quite difficult to do as well, really. Once the intake's off, what's actually pretty much the hard part, it's a stretchy belt, and whoever knows what a stretchy belt is, they're absolute stupid, horrible. You're there 20 minutes trying to put a belt on, it's But again, it's wear and tear. I know a lot of people with this engine do definitely have this issue with this car. Another thing is DSG servicing as well. I've serviced the DSG box on this. You only have to do it once every 60k-ish, I believe. However, even that's over £300. The parts alone, the oil, the filter. I done one yesterday and it was £200 for the parts. So it's expensive. Coolant bottles. VWs have a lot of water problems, especially coolant bottles. I've had about 3 or 4 and the caps keep breaking off inside. The coolant caps are about £30 each, as the cap and the bottle as well. And it's still faulty because every time I get in, the sensors broke in the bottle. It's happened about 3-4 times to me, man. And then about 30 quid each. That's an extra £120 on coolant caps and bottles. It gets expensive, man. It does get really expensive. Another wear and tear option, what I can't show you right now because it's underneath, is drive shaft gaiters. For some reason, because I've had this car lowered quite a bit as well, the drive shafts, when they're meant to be straight, obviously mine are like that a little bit now, and it just rips apart the rubbers, leaking grease, and I've had to put on 2 of them as well. So that's down to me sort of, but it can definitely still happen to you. And the last kind of fix-it part I've had to do on this car was actually completely rebuild the DSG gearbox. This stupid big box here that controls all the good stuff, the thing that makes this car VW DSG. Essentially what happened was this car went into being tuned. It went in for an engine map and a gearbox map. Obviously the engine map was sweet. It was running about 280, 290-ish on the dyno. Come to the transmission tune, it scrambled the mechatronics. Now, obviously, I can't remember the card off the top of my head, but the DQ250, what this is, has a lot of problems with the mechatronics as it is. And basically, you just can't put a load of power through, and that's what I tried doing, or the guy that I sent it to get tuned by tried doing, and essentially scrapped the entire brain of the gearbox. Obviously, we didn't know what that was, so I sent it in to be repaired because gearbox rebuild is definitely not something I do. It's not something I ever want to do. But essentially, he didn't know what was wrong either, so we just rebuilt it, and I said to him, start with the cheapest, work up towards the end, and obviously with the mechatronics that was destroyed. So essentially it had a new clutch pack, it had new oil at that point again, new filters, new sliders re-greased, some other stuff, and the mechatronic from Germany. The mechatronics unit itself was 2,500 quid, and it had to come all the way from Germany over to here, and then it has to be coded with a very special laptop called Odis. You buy the codes from VW, then you flash it onto the mechatronics to tell the car it. And it was just a big, massive nutache. Took about 3-4 months to be done. This car was just off the road 3-4 months. And in the end, it was over a £4,000 bill. So just keep that in mind when messing with DSG boxes. I understand a lot of people don't like automatics and DSGs and semi-automatic gearboxes as a whole for when stuff like this happens. Believe me, I've seen it now. It still won't put me off buying another DSG in the future, believe me, because when they're running right now, I'm unreal. It just so happens that mine went bang on me. So is what it is. But in terms of that, you know, you have suspension work that you got to kind of keep on top of, and brakes. This obviously varies to person. So I think off the top of my head, altogether with the car and all the repairs over 2 years, it was £15,000. What to me isn't that bad for what the car is. There's probably 1 or 2 things that I have missed off that I just can't remember, because I've done this much to this car that I'm going to go into now on the modification list. The next thing I want to quickly talk about is fuel as well. So this being a 2-litre DSG, it's quite heavy on fuel. And obviously if you have a little bit of a heavy right foot, then it's even worse on fuel. However, on motorways, it did used to average 45 to the gallon before it was tuned and mapped. However, each week since having this car, I put £40 of fuel a week in it. That's all I do, £160 a month. I've had this car for 2.5 years, February 22, £40 a week. Obviously sometimes a bit more, sometimes it's a full tank. Full tank's £80 on this, on Momentum 99. So I only ever run on Momentum 99. And sometimes less because it just doesn't get driven, because I have another car that if you've been following this channel, you should know about. In 2.5 years of fuel, 40 times 30 is 4,800. That's how much it's cost to fill up this car with petrol in 2.5 years. I had a Fiesta for a first car, 1.25 Yamaha engine. Absolute great on fuel. Then for some reason when I was 18, I thought 2-litre DSG time? Yeah, sweet. And you know, almost £5 grand in fuel in 2.5 years. give or take, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. I'm not 100% sure. That's just a rough, very rough guess, obviously. But anyway, that is it kind of for the maintenance side of it and the fuel side of it, and just in general how much it kind of costs if you're just a normal person, doesn't care about modifying the car, doesn't care about fully sending the car, you know, pushing silly power out of it, you know, all that stuff, taking it to tracks, whatever. So if you're just a genuine normal person that wants something nice, something DSG, that's roughly how much it has cost me to drive this car for 2.5 years. So it's about, give or take, 20 grand really. Obviously if you finance it, it might be a bit less for you lots, a bit more. Obviously the price of the car is completely different, so always keep that in mind, please. Now onto the modifying side of it. I've got somewhat of a rough thingy on my notes for it. I don't want to make this video too long. I made a video on my mods. I'll leave the playlist in the link below if you want to go and see some dedicated mod videos of this car. But for now, starting off at the bottom, we have some Riviera RF 108s, 19-inch alloys in like a diamond cut sort of grey. These were the £1,000. These are beautiful. These are one of my favourite wheels ever. Followed behind, we have some M-Tech discs, some S3 calipers and some Brembo pads. That was about £500 off marketplace for the front. I still need the ones for the back, can't find them, so I'll just stick with the front now. And there was already in the colour I wanted, like this Viper lime green thing. Moving on to my one and only suspension upgrade, because I'm tight, is some Stance Plus coilovers. People hate Stance Plus for some reason. On a reel, them bumpy as anything, they're really stiff, but they've been alright for me. I can't knock them. And they're really cheap as well. People always say, don't skank out on suspension. I don't think I've driven anything with really, like some Bilsteins or some BC Racing coilovers, so I can't particularly compare. However, Stance Plus for me have been fine. We have it on our camper vans. You know, I can't fault it personally. Centre cap fell off. That was £60 off this guy. He said to me, yeah, I've definitely got the right colour. He sent it me and it was wrong, and he blocked my number. So I kind of just had to stick with it. I can paint it if I wanted to, but it's really annoying. £60 for a centre cap is a joke. We have the R conversion bumper, so frowny face instead of smiley face. That was about £700, came in primer. And then obviously the Maxon front splitter as well, that's £200. The front splitter makes this car front end look so much more, makes it look so much more aggressive, and it comes with some nice DRLs that replace your fog lights. Ram air induction kit, that was about 200 quid. It's off a Mark V Golf GTI. For some reason it said it fits. Obviously it didn't fit, because this is an EA 888. I believe the Mark V GTI is an EA 113. So it didn't fit, couldn't be bothered to send it back, so I just made do. Moving on to the rear, we have the beautiful Maxon Design spoiler lip extension. We have the rear squats from Maxon Design and the beautiful aggressive rear diffuser from Maxon Design as well. Obviously I've done a big video on all that sort of stuff, so if you want to just go and give that a watch, again the playlist link is in the description. I went and had it tuned again. That was about 300-400 quid, just an engine map. So it's running on paper about 260, 280. I had a 350Z in at the beginning of the year. I raced this versus the 350Z. This absolutely ate the 350Z, and that was 280 brake. So it's turbo versus NA, I get that, but it absolutely annihilated it, you know. This Scirocco was a machine that day. It's got a full custom exhaust system from downpipe all the way to the back. That was about 1,400 quid. It sounds unreal. I'll put a little cold start in it in a second. Full video dedicated to my exhaust. It's in the playlist in the description. You can't beat it. That's pretty much it for the exterior of the car. I've done 2 interior modifications. That was both Christmas presents. This is my most asked question, I think, of all time for this car. I'll show you quickly. It's also got emerald struts as well. Emerald struts is about £120. I've just cracked my head. Ow. Anyway, even with a concussion, ow, that really hurts. As you can see, hang on. Oh yeah. As you can see, we have the carbon LED steering wheel. That's like F1, kind of lights up when you drive, sort of thing. And we have digital clocks. There's a few Sciroccos out there with digital clocks. I know I'm one of the very few that has it. It's my most asked question ever. It's from China, I know that. It was a Christmas present from my dad, so that's why I don't know. It's also got these diversion paddles. These was like over £100 each, I think. Again, there was a Christmas present off my dad. And so with this, we fitted it all on Boxing Day as well this year. If I move it forward quickly, I'll show you the boot struts as well. But if you want to see all of that, there's a proper dedicated video to it all. If you're interested in the steering wheel and the clocks, give me a shout on my Instagram. I do fit these clocks. Them roughly £1,000 fitted, supplied and fitted. What's a lot of money for some clocks, but obviously, in my opinion, they're one of the best modifications you can do to this car. I've actually only done 11,000 miles roughly in 30 months, so that's not a lot at all. This car doesn't get driven as much anymore, obviously, because I have that GT4. That GT4 I absolutely love driving to pieces. This car just kind of gets left on the drive now. It's quite sad, since how much money, time, sweat, blood, tears has gone into this build. Another thing we retrofitted as well was cruise control. Oh my god, cruise control. I can't believe cars leave the factory without it. Cruise control. If you're going to go with any single optional extra, whether it's pan roof, what this doesn't have, or heated seats, what again this doesn't have, go with cruise control. Absolutely unreal. And then the last mod, what actually doesn't work ever for some reason. Yeah, it still doesn't work. These are meant to come up automatically, however, they just don't work. Which isn't great, so just keep that in mind. But for the most part, that's kind of it for how much it costs to make a Scirocco. So in terms of costing, maintain and fuel, all that stuff, 20 grand minimum for me anyway. However, for you lot, it might be completely different. And this also determines on the car, because you can pick up a pre-facelift Scirocco for like 4 grand, 5 grand, what's significantly cheaper than this. Insurance is very weird, because people can either pay 120 quid a month or 120 quid a year, let's say. I get stung on insurance so much, especially with the other car on my insurance as well. However, keep that in mind. Insurance is different for everyone. I'm not going to say how much I pay for insurance, to be honest, because it's irrelevant and everyone's going to pay any. As an 18-year-old, if you're looking to insure on it, was about £3,000. That's all I'd say for that. But obviously, as you get older, it hasn't changed too much, especially adding another car onto the policy. Definitely hasn't changed too much. But again, I'm going to leave this video here. It was just kind of a quick video as well to say the Scirocco hasn't been on the channel for a couple months now. We're trying to push out content for the Scirocco. However, getting parts for that is now getting really expensive and really hard to fit, and I need to find the time to fit the parts. You know, it's a whole different thing. There is some more stuff coming out on that car. However, I felt like the Scirocco video has done extremely well for me, so let's get it back on the channel for a bit. You know, the issue is that this car's finished, the modification side of it, so I kind of can't push anything else out. I think the only 2 things I want left is the bags and side skirts. Bags are expensive, but again, if you are new to this channel, please hit the like and subscribe. If you really want to become a member for £1.99 a month, it helps me out massively. I can lump that money back into this channel then. If you all enjoyed watching, obviously like, subscribe, go and watch the other videos, especially the ones for the clocks. It's the most asked question I ever get. Go and watch it, and I do basically a full breakdown of it, showing you all the different things. In terms of modifications wise and what it's cost to kind of get the car to this point, with this absolute dump truck of a back end, holy moly. That's bloody gorgeous. You know, I'd say I've spent probably another 6 grand on it, so it's a lot. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all on the next video.